Hello guys and welcome to Platinum Paints, a series where I fully complete games and narrate my experiences and hopefully give helpful tips to y'all. I'm a sack of potatoes, zombie connoisseur, and I recently decided to go back to one of my favorite games to platinum it, Resident Evil 2 Remake. Smash hit from the year 2019. Anyway, this game was highly praised and with good reason. Awesome visuals, dense gameplay, revitalizing classic survival horror gameplay that Resident Evil is practically synonymous with, and endless replayability. This game, along with Resident Evil 7, revived the series and reinvented it for another generation after it was left in a not-so-great place thanks to the edgy teenage years of the franchise. For the purposes of this video, platinuming a game will consist of getting every achievement as listed in the records menu of the game. There's a lot of things to do in order to gain the platinum in this game, so let's start with the basics. Resident Evil 2 features two different but very similar stories for the player to go through with depending on what character you choose, Leon or Claire. After finishing the first campaign, you can go back and do a shorter, essentially complementary campaign with the opposite character in order to get the true ending of the game and see everything the main story has to offer. A good number of the achievements in this game are really easy to get just by playing the game and finishing both runs, such as getting every gun, getting the true ending, and basic gameplay stuff like crafting ammo, killing zombies. Realistically, just take it slow and explore every nook and cranny and you'll be fine. This is, in essence, Resident Evil 101. After this, you unlock the Ghost Survivors, 4 different minigames essentially that serve as short, action-packed alternate stories to perfect. These have different lists of achievements, which I'll get to in a minute, as well as unlocking the 4th survivor, known commonly as Hunk. Another short action story segment that sees the character of Hunk going through the entire map to escape Raccoon City. Very fun minigame and grants you an achievement just for beating it, no hidden fees. It also unlocks something that gave me recurring nightmares, but that will wait for now. The main meat and potatoes of this platinum is getting an S rank on hardcore. You see, hardcore is the hardest difficulty in Resident Evil 2, and it is no fucking joke, okay? You go down in 2 hits, ammo is scarcer, zombies are much stronger, you need increments to save, etc. It's a very fun game mode and I highly recommend it. Where it gets fucked up though, is that in order to get an S rank, you need to beat the game in hardcore in under 2.5 hours. A considerable challenge, but surely nothing out of the ordinary, is what I foolishly thought when I first played this game back in 2019. But you see, I tried it so many different times because my friend, a very big fan of Resident Evil, told me that I could get an infinite rocket launcher and minigun by beating it S rank with both Leon and Claire. Also practically quadruple dog dared me to get the S rank, and I tried and tried, but no matter what I did, I was dying over and over again and never completing the challenge, resulting in me quitting. And after 4 years, now that I am an adult, I came back with a vengeance. And after attempting to S-rank Leon's story, I swiftly decided to platinum the Ghost Survivors first. Like I said, this little game mode is just 4 little action stories, No Time to Mourn, The Runaway, Forgotten Soldier, and No Way Out. Honestly, in general, these aren't too bad, and for these 3, the best advice I could give you is don't rush. Listen, okay, I get that it's more action-packed than the normal game, enemies everywhere, rather than conserving ammo, you're encouraged to shoot everything in your way. However, running blindly forward in this game is a quick way to get yourself killed in stupid ways. This is still Resident Evil 2, meaning your character likes to lightly jog away from imminent death. Take it slow, familiarize yourself with the levels and enemy layouts. After that, you can go faster, but at first, I encourage you to take it slow. Learn. Trust me, you don't want to get caught out by an insta-kill enemy because of blind running. Secondly, go against your normal instinct and shoot. Don't worry about ammo too much. You typically have enough to spare to shoot and keep running. Don't think about it too hard. Much like the previous tip, most challenges in the Ghost Survivors can be knocked out by simply going slow and analyzing surroundings, along with being just a little bit creative. The biggest challenge of this minigame collection is No Way Out and its respective achievement of Gunslinger. Flashing lights warning, by the way, this part is not good. Many flashing lights. Hey guys, this is me from the future while I'm editing this, and I just now thought that I think it's just something wrong with my version of the game or the way my PC runs it. I googled somebody else playing through the minigame and they did not have what I have. Basically, for some reason, certain eyes of certain zombies are just like bright headlights, like blinding me. I thought it was just part of the game, but now I think it's not. So yeah, just be careful watching the video. Bright lights. I'm gonna put a timestamp on the video so you can skip forward if in case you don't want to see this, or if anything, just listen to the video and I will play this sound effect whenever it is okay to look at the screen again. You good? Okay. No Way Out traps you in the convenience store that opens the game up with a revolver and constant waves of zombies, from normal zombies to generators, poison zombies, etc. Your goal is to survive until you can fully kill 100 zombies. While not too hard, it's easy to get in your own head, so here's my quick tips for No Way Out. The most important thing is to be aware of your surroundings. You don't want to get pincer attacked or cornered. You have the 3 main corridors as well as this little aisle here. Don't forget about this aisle. It's a lifesaver. Because zombie tracking ain't too smart because they're zombies and get stuck around walls near the aisle, giving you just a few seconds that can save your life. Tip number 2. If you start shooting a zombie, finish it. Don't lose track of who you've damaged. Whittling down the crowd is mighty useful. Now, general tips that are particularly important for the Gunslinger challenge. This challenge asks you to kindly beat the minigame without wasting more than 60 revolver bullets. The revolver in this challenge is the base weapon. You start with it and it has infinite bullets, so naturally your first instinct is to rely on it. Here's what I like to do in order to beat this challenge. First, listen, just kill the first 10 zombies that come out. There's no real strat here because one way or another, you're not gonna get another weapon. You're not gonna get an explosive zombie until you wipe out all 10 zombies. So just kill them. After that, wait. Scan the crowd and look for these guys, which I nicknamed Q walls for simplicity. These Q walls have a propane tank on their back. Shoot them and, well, if you see one of these guys banging against the door, wait for them to come in. If they're banging on the door, that means they're gonna come in. And wait for a big mass of zombies to form to take many different zombies out with just one shot. Again, know your surroundings, because kiting them around can get pretty tight and dangerous. Beyond that, all I can say is don't be afraid to use the limited weapons they give you as well as certain guns for certain zombies. Example, armored zombies are tough but go down in one shot to a sap gun. Same for regenerators. Shotguns are a good way to mow down normal zombies when you don't have Q walls. And the best gun in the game, the flamethrower, is divine at crowd control. I like to line a bunch of zombies up and then just hold fire for like 3 to 4 seconds, and that would completely delete a crowd. Finally, and I can't stress this enough, don't get poisoned. But if you do, cure it as soon as possible. Trust me, poison will force you to slow down and cough, which is not ideal when you have 5 zombies crawling up your ass. Overall, stay calm, and this challenge is a lot more imposing than it is difficult. Now, after beating the ghost survivors, it was time for me to face my old enemy, S-Rank Leon. My hands were shaking, my breath stopped, my mind flooding with endless memories of the many failed attempts. But it was time, and I started the run. I'd give you tips here, but it's really basic and kind of obvious stuff, like don't get hit, don't waste time. Listen, the main thing you must know is this. Know the game like the back of your hand. What to do exactly when. Don't underestimate yourself. It's okay to leave weapons in the box and go with minimal firepower to optimize space to avoid awkward trips back and forth the inventory box. In spite of my best efforts and ideas, I kept dying and having to repeat large chunks of the game. After a bit, though, I made it to Super Tyrant, and after a long drawn out fight, fearing the worst at every corner, I beat him. I made it to the end and I saw that beautiful clean S grade. As a guy that never did too good in school, it was satisfying to see that good grade, I'm not gonna lie. I loaded up an old save to see my sweet powerful rocket launcher, only to realize that's not an RPG. Turns out, as fate would have it, what I got is an S rank. What I meant to get, on the other hand, is an S plus rank. Now, what's the difference, you might ask? Well, S only asks you to beat the game in under 2 hours and 30 minutes. S plus asks you to beat it in the same time frame with maximum 3 saves. Like an idiot, I was running around willy-nilly, like saving at every corner so I didn't make the cut. At this point, I was facing a dilemma. I could A, go through the mental damage of beating the game S+, or be pedantic and say that it is not actually listed as an achievement in the game. I elected the way of Furthermore, this little misadventure made me realize that I never finished the game through second run Leon, so that was the play. Get S+ rank on B-side Leon. The problem is that in second run, you get even less time, having to beat the game in under 2 hours flat. With this new goal in mind, I armed myself with knowledge courtesy of this channel on YouTube. I'm gonna put the link in the description. It's great in case you want to go into this. Serving great tips and guides for these runs. Highly recommend if you're planning on doing this challenge yourself, but are too scared to go about it. Blind, I mean. Now for my run. It turns out that, in my opinion, having to do a B-side run was a blessing in disguise. See, sure, you get a lot less time. Counterpoint, you get a different gun. The B-side guns for both Leon and Claire have the blessing of doing slightly more damage than base gun, meaning you knock zombies down a little bit easier and blow their heads off more often. Now, some people might dislike this because you can't craft ammo for these guns. In my opinion, this is actually an upside. See, it removes the need to worry about gunpowder by limiting your options. Just keep an eye out for natural spawning bullets and you'll be fine. Secondly, don't be afraid to murder people, please, for the love of God. I mean, as in clearing areas of zombies. Especially if you know you're gonna be running back and forth a certain area, such as the main RPD hall. Kill them. Make sure they stay dead. It may cost both time and ammo, neither of which you have a lot of, but it will save your hide later down the road. Another reason to love B-runs is that in the last area of the game, the nest, you need this frequency modulator thingy, and normally you get it halfway into the area, allowing you to go back and unlock new areas and finish the game. In a B-run though, you get it right at the start. This saves you a lot of back and forth running, but more importantly, it gives you more inventory space, which you typically can't afford in a base game run. Then again, you do get the true final boss that you also have to deal with now, but he's just a damage sponge. There's no way you could actually ruin any runs. Now, quick tip, save spots. You only get 3. I liked using them before the first Birkin fight under the RPD building, at the start or halfway through the sewers, whichever you prefer, because generally going through the G mutants can be taxing, and before the third Birkin fight to cover all bases of length and not have to redo too much work in the event of a death. Also, if you die, quit back to the main menu and reload the match. That way you don't lose time, and don't be stupid like me and reset entirely after a death. There is no point. With this preparation, I started the run very nervous but excited. And it went swimmingly. I soared through the RPD and the sewers until I reached the second Birkin fight. This fight took years out of my life in previous runs, mainly because he has this bullshit attack that is hard to dodge and will insta-kill you if you don't have a breakaway. So I loaded up with my trusty flamethrower, magnum, and pistol, and beat him in my first attempt. For those who don't know, by the way, in this fight, if you deal enough damage, you can practically one-shot him with a crane. So I set him on fire, much like Chris Evans in Fantastic Four, and blasted him into next week. The rest of the run went fairly ideally. I made my way through the nest, fearing and burning IVs, and ran from Mr. X until I made it to the last stretch. And after a sordid defeat at the hands of Super Tyrant, I beat them all. I made my way down to the final Birkin fight, unloaded all my firepower on him, and there it was. After years of shameful defeat before this game, S+, and a beautiful rocket launcher to show for it.
Not yet, Snake! It's not over yet!
See, remember at the beginning when I mentioned that beating Hunk unlocks something? Well, it's 5 variations of that game mode, the 4th Survivor. This time, however, it is the Tofu Survivor. Each delicious, diligent blob of food has their own gimmick and items. Tofu gives you many knives and some herbs. Basically run around and stab stuff and you win. Konjac is by far the easiest. It gives you the grenade launcher with a flamethrower and a buttload of ammo. Unload everything and you'll be fine. However, after the Konjac, I went to do the Flan, thinking she'd be super easy because she gets the best weapons in the game. I mean, the RPG, the minigun, the sap gun, very simple, right? The sap gun, being as slow as my grandmother, is nightmarish and torturous and cost me so many attempts because I didn't want to dig into my minigun ammo. My tip for this is just use the minigun. If there is one lonely enemy entirely by himself, then use the sap gun. Otherwise, just stick to the minigun. Including the Tyrant, by the way. If he shows his ugly mug, shoot him with the minigun. It keeps him down longer than the sap gun would, saving you from putting yourself in uncomfortable situations later down the road. Now, after Flan, I did Mochi, which is annoying because it gives you 36 grenades, and that's it. Good luck. Blow the world up, set the countryside on fire, I don't care, do something, but God forbid you take damage. Good luck dealing with dogs, lickers, G-mutants, basically anything that's either too strong or faster than you. And finally, Tofu 2. I believe it's called Anon Tofu, I don't know why I didn't include that in the script. You get the B-side weapons and herbs. Pray. That's it, honestly. For this one, just pray. Pray you don't get tagged by zombies. Pray that dog doesn't take a nasty bite out of you because you were reloading. After all of this ordeal, I was tired, man. I mean, replaying the same scenario with annoying side quests is gonna take a mental toll on anyone. But I digress. Only one challenge remained. Beating Claire S+. Same strategy as with Leon, except for the tiny difference that Claire's main gun, the revolver, is slow and quite fucking tedious to reload, making everything that Leon does much more of a time-consuming mess, and the lack of a shotgun meant it was much harder to just blast heads left and right. So I started it and then died to this random zombie which I forgot to kill earlier. Whatever, restart, go again, and I got tagged on the stairs where I couldn't use a knife to protect myself and died. Listen, I was making a lot, and I mean a lot, of sloppy mistakes. I had been playing this game so much for the past few days and I was tired. You don't understand. I had a nightmare that I was literally stuck in the RPD being chased by Mr. X. My free time was consumed by my thoughts mapping and remapping the game to find a better route. I knew I had to beat this nightmare. So I pushed through, and when I had to play as Sherry, I knew that I had to beat the starting puzzle quickly in under a minute for a certain achievement. And then I got stuck in the puzzle, losing the chance for the achievement. Not to worry though, because these kind dogs heard I missed it and did me the kindness of murdering me. Whatever. Stab Birkin, redo the work, replay the Sherry part, and get the achievement. Perfect. And then get insta-killed by Mr. X with an attack I forgot he had. I had to take a break after that, I think you understand. But I returned after crying in bed for an hour. And finally, I made it to the sewers and reached the second save. Although I was scared of Birkin too, I kicked his ass and felt vindicated for all the time he made me lose before. I swept through the nest without a second thought, deleting pathetic IVs from existence with my grenade launcher, and reached the final checkpoint. At this point, it's just the last mad dash to beat 3 boss fights. I beat Birkin 3 easily, shot all the pimples in Birkin 4, and finally reached the last boss. Like I said, this guy's just a damage sponge, so I unloaded all my ammo into him and well...
¡Hueputa! ¡No te creo!
That death stung particularly. Never in my life had I died to Birkin 5. After a short break, I went back and died thrice to Birkin 3. My mental was entirely shattered after this point, but I kept going, just wanting to be done with it. Reaching the 4th Birkin fight, however, I decided to change my strategy, using mainly flame rounds and the sap gun in this fight to save most of the minigun ammo for the last boss. And there I was, on a Discord call, suffering from PTSD, having to do this over again. And then...
¡Hueputa! ¡Eso! Uy, qué pena, grité un poco muy duro. Uy, marica, ojalá no me hayan escuchado los vecinos. Tolosa, le saqué el hijo de puta Platinum a ResidentEvil.
Finally. I gazed over my beautifully complete record screen, and for nostalgia's sake, I went back and did one final run through with Claire. She was the first one I ever played with after all. And with an infinite rocket launcher, I blasted through the halls of Raccoon City, murdering everything in my path with jovial glee, because I knew that throughout all the pain, I had platinumed Resident Evil 2. Thanks for watching.